trying to fix up this old Power Stroke. It's got 300,000 miles on it. The next thing I'm replacing here is this injection pressure regulator solenoid, and it goes down here in the valley like such. So I gotta get this cap off, I gotta separate this body, and we'll just show you with the old one how I unscrew this thing. First off, I was taking a look at my connectors, and it looks like this wiring harness is still in good shape for the most part, but for instance, let's take a look at this connector right here is starting to fray, so I'd like to get that replaced. And I'm looking at, I went ahead and unplugged these. This one's a culprit right here. It's pretty common. The ICP, they call it. We're not gonna get too off track. I already replaced that one. It was pushing oil out the sensor. So this is the one right here. Don't know what it is off the top of my head. I'm not an expert with this platform. And I did a lot to this already though. Like I replaced my boost lines, my turbo wastegate lines here. I could probably go ahead and replace this solenoid valve. It'd be a good idea. But I had an air leak in this elbow right here. But all the way down here, I had a spring clip. I'll have to jump up here. Right down there is what we're replacing. And this is the connector right here, and if you'll notice, that right terminal there is kind of messed up, so I'm gonna have to try to fix that up. It might have not been contacting correctly. It might have been pinned on the side there and maybe not getting a good contact, so that might have been my whole situation. But it looks like that's probably the original solenoid down there, so I'm just going to replace it for good measure. But I have noticed that all these connectors over here are missing their rubber insulation, which I'm not so happy about. The tape is starting to fray from oil, but the wires still look good. So the first thing I got to do is, while I disconnected these wires, first thing I got to do is get this nut off the back there. So I got this long ratchet wrench, and I did not disconnect the battery, so I need to be really careful with that positive terminal. As I'm swinging that wrench, I could ground it out on that positive terminal and start arcing things out. So let's snake this wrench down in here. Hope it's going the right way. I didn't really verify. It's not, so I spin it around, try to get you a good view. Limited access in here. Do I have enough swing on this? Keeps on sliding all the way back. Right there. Looks like I got 2 clicks each time. All I did so far was just disconnect the connector. Now I think I can probably, see, I wouldn't want to lay my wrench down here either, because I could arc it out like that as well. So if you're taking shortcuts like that, you better pay attention. I think my oldest brother told me a story one time that my dad used to have a box truck, and he was working on it doing something and arced the positive out over the AC line, and well, I guess I shouldn't tell that story. It was an accident. So I'm sliding the body off of there, and I see my rubber grommet is inside here, so I'm going to transfer that back over. And it does look pretty rusty and crusty, so I'm going to definitely replace it. Now I got to figure out how to get this big socket. Where is it? I got this big 29, and most of the time if you got a socket this big, it's going to be long 1/2-inch drive. I probably did have a short well, but all right, so I got it on there, and instead of putting a big 1/2-inch drive ratchet in there. I'm gonna get an adapter, and I think I have enough room right there to put a 3/8 ratchet in. Here's a flashlight, so get a little bit better view. And I got an adapter here for 1/2" drive to 3/8. I'm gonna see if I can plug it in. I got my adapter on. Now I need to snake my ratchet way down in there to make sure I'm going the right way first, because I don't feel like flipping that switch way down in there. Try to good thing about this type of handle is it is insulated, so if I'm doing stuff like this, I don't have to worry about swinging it on that positive terminal. So we'll get that connected with both hands down in here, and then I'll get right back with you. So I just had to put the socket on and then connect the adapter like such. And actually it doesn't even go all the way on because it's so deep. I actually had to use a deep well. A shallow would not have worked. And it looks like I'm only going to be able to get about maybe 1 click on this ratchet. So you always have to do like that. Make sure you're going the right way. At least I do. And I got to break that loose. And once you break it loose, you can just spin it out like such. You're going to slide the socket off at this point and then get the rest out like this. And then some oil's going to come out. We'll clean that up later. Here we are. There's the body. And we're just going to spike that over there. And then we're just going to disassemble this just like we did on the car. So that's the part that goes inside. We'll make sure to keep that clean. We're just gonna take the ends off and slide it right back in and screw it into spec. Well, once you have that new shaft in, then we're just gonna slide the body on, and then the new spacer and the new nut. We're gonna plug it all back in. My hands are all greasy, but I'm just gonna finish this thing up. Simple. Now how I clean most of it up here is I got my pig mat, my oil absorbent mat, and I just jammed it down in there carefully. See, when you're putting your hand in here, you can pull this wire connector and such like that. So sometimes it's a good idea to get that stuff out of the way, and then you got plenty more room and you don't have to worry about pulling wires. Just something like that. Sticking your hand in here, you could pull a wire, and then that turns into a comeback, and then you might not know what wire's pulled or whatever, and then it just turns into a nightmare. So you got to be really careful about jamming your hands in places where they really shouldn't be. So we're going to get that sopped up as much as we can, and then we're going to clean it up the rest of the way with brake clean. And then if you really don't want it to smell for a customer, if you're doing it for someone, this is my own truck, then you'd wash it with some degreaser and some water after that, and then you let it burn all the way off. It is a multiple step cleaning process so that you gain confidence, because you work on someone's car and then it smells like a oil leak burning off the header. That's not a good look on you.